Did you just take a big step in your career and now you're starting to manage people? In this video, we're going to talk about how to transition from peer to supervisor or peer to manager. So stay tuned, we got some awesome tips for you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben Preston, author of Harness Your Butterflies and creator of the Career Accelerator program, helping professionals just like you to create an exciting career. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. I have new videos every Tuesday, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Let's jump into the video. So it's always super exciting when you get a step up in your career, but one of the things that happens is you get a little nervous, or I've worked with clients who get a little nervous because they step up and all of a sudden now they're managing people who they used to be peers with. Now in this video, I have 6 different things that you can do to help bridge that transition or help you kind of mentally shift and make that transition from peer to manager. Let's go. The first thing that you want to do when you make this transition is to mentally shift from I am now the boss. Now, when you start to kind of have those peer-to-peer relationships, they become a lot more informal, maybe a little more fun. When you become a supervisor or manager, you're now responsible for that person's output or workflow. So you want to make sure that in your mind, you make the distinction that you are now the boss. And when you make that distinction, it doesn't mean that you all of a sudden have to be a total complete jerk, but it does mean that you kind of have to set some professional boundaries with the people who you maybe, or maybe still are friends with. You want to make sure to say, while we're at work, this is how I'm going to be moving forward. This is how my expectations that are placed on me, and making sure that you're kind of reestablishing those relationships with people who used to be your peers. The second thing that you want to do is make sure that you understand your unique strengths and weaknesses when it comes to that position. You're going to have to shift the way that you work when you become a manager of someone that you used to be friends with or peers with. Is you want to make sure that you understand what are the things that you're really good at and what are the things that you're not really good at. The reason that you want to do this is because as the manager, you need to use your team as a way to help kind of bridge the gap between your strengths and your weaknesses. If the things that you're good at, you want to continue doubling down, continue working on those things, but the things that you're not good at, you want to make sure to build your team around the weaknesses that exist so that when you come to kind of a complete team-wide strengths analysis, that you have all of your bases covered. And that's by understanding your own unique strengths and weaknesses, you can assess kind of where you fit and how you can build your team around what you're not good at. The third thing is you want to make sure that you understand when to delegate tasks. It might seem like if you're a manager, you might think, oh, I need to delegate everything. Or you might be thinking, these are people that I used to be peers with, I can just continue owning my own work and moving forward. When you're now the manager, you need to look at your team-wide workflow and say, okay, I need to figure out when to delegate tasks and who to delegate them to make sure that things are getting done in more of an efficient way. The fourth thing that you want to do is make sure that you communicate your open door policy. Now, maybe you don't have an open door policy, but maybe you want to create some sense of open line communications so that your team doesn't feel like they are all of a sudden not going to have access to you. Because if you become the manager, sometimes what happens is people think, oh, this person is no longer on my level, I can't communicate with them like I used to. So you just want to make sure that you set up kind of those expectations with, here's how we communicate, here's how often we communicate, and if you run into any issues, if you have any problems, feel free to continue contacting me whenever you need to make sure that we get things resolved. And that kind of positions you to make sure that your team knows that you're not above them, but you're still on the same wavelength. You all have the same goal. You want to accomplish the same thing. Number 5, expect that some people won't like you. Now, the reason that you want to the hope is that everyone's happy that you're a manager, but the reality is that some people maybe were up for the same position that you are now promoted into. So keep in mind that some people might not be super excited about the fact that you got a promotion that they didn't. And with the expectation that some people might not be happy, they probably won't tell you that they aren't happy with that. They might be kind of superficial or fake about it. But what that means for you is that you always, always, always need to keep a professional attitude and not show favoritism to your other team members whether you liked them or not. Maybe you really didn't like them when you were working as peers, but as the supervisor now, you need to maintain a professional attitude, because now you are liable as a manager when it comes to company policy and things like that. Like, you can't show favoritism. You can't be, you know, an a-hole to your team members who previously you didn't like. So you need to kind of reset, make sure that you understand that people aren't going to like you, but that you still maintain a professional attitude and working environment for all of your team. And the last thing to keep in mind, tip number 6, is to remember that your team wants the best for the company just like you do. Keep in mind that you are leading a team of people who are all on the same side. Everyone's trying to work toward the same goal, and now it just so happens that you are leading that team to the next phase or the next iteration of what your business should look like. So just remember, as you're managing and leading people, sometimes it could seem a little daunting, especially if you were once their peers. But as the manager, you can say, hey, we're still doing the same business, we're still working on the same stuff, we're still moving our business forward in the same way that we were before. It just so happens that I'm signing your timesheet. So when you get into kind of those conversations, make sure that you are realizing that everyone's working toward the same goal just like you are. And with that, hopefully this video was helpful. If you found it helpful, if you have anything else to add, don't forget to leave me a comment. Drop me a thumbs up if you thought it was helpful. And don't forget to subscribe. I have new videos every Tuesday, so I'll see you on the next one.